Hey, what's up and how's it going, all MRBers? I'm Mike McRock for the McRock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show, and right now I'm going to give you my review as well as the results of last night's episode of WWE Monday Night Raw. So on this episode of Monday Night Raw, the show kicked off when Betty White came out with the big show, and she says, "I'm ready to kick some ass." So the question I have is the Attitude Era coming back? No. Plain and simple. Now, moving on. Now, the Authority comes out. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. You saw, a little thing going on with Stephanie and Betty White, and Triple H, turns around and laughs at Betty White. Not cool, Triple H. You interrupted Betty White. And it was just one of those things, Triple H, the Authority, being the real shit disturbers, and they came out at a good time. It's something CM Punk would have done when he was the heel, when he interrupted Mae Young's 90th birthday. It's kind of like, something similar to that. So I thought, as long as you get the timing right, you're doing something good on Raw. Now, moving on, the Authority comes out, and they talk about how they should reconsider who the face of the company of the WWE should be. Antonio Cesaro, Christian, or John Cena, or Sheamus. So basically, Daniel Bryan has his work cut out for him. And of course, Randy Orton comes out and he's, apologizing to Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. And they also get Daniel Bryan. He comes out. He gets a big fan reaction from the crowd. And basically, what this was about was the Authority telling us on screen that we don't listen to the WWE Universe. What happened was that Triple H gave Daniel Bryan the night off, and a lot of fans that paid to see Daniel Bryan wrestle didn't get their money's worth because Daniel Bryan did not put, Triple H did not put Daniel Bryan in a match, and that's what we expected. We expected Daniel Bryan to wrestle because the fans that go to the events and the fans that watch it on TV, hopefully we get to see Daniel Bryan wrestle. And like I said, it's harsh reality. The WWE won't listen to their fans, even when it comes to the whole CM Punk situation and storyline situation, cheering and booing people, merchandise sales, etc., stuff like that. So this is basically, like I said, the Authority telling you on screen that we don't listen to you. So what we're going to do, we're going to give Daniel Bryan the night off. And around in the middle of all this, they're talking about sucking up. Randy Orton sucking up to Triple H and the Authority. And the Authority sucking up to Randy Orton. And etc. And Daniel Bryan mentioned the incident that happened 5 years ago when Randy Orton was the Viper, and basically talking about what he done to Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, handcuffing Triple H to the ring rope while he kissed Stephanie, and things like that. And to me, overall, this first segment was just okay. This was basically setting the tone of the entire show, and also leading up to WrestleMania. Now, the one thing that I took away from this was that every single Raw for the past 3 or 4 weeks now, they started with the Authority and Randy Orton, either Randy Orton interrupting the Authority or the Authority interrupting Randy Orton. For the love of God, WWE, start the show with something different week after week and not the same darn thing over and over. Come on, do something else. Moving on, we get a 6-on-6 match Rey Mysterio, Goldust, and Cody Rhodes versus the Wyatt family. And I thought this was one of the great matches on the show. It was a very fast-paced, quick match where the Wyatt family got the win, and I love how it was won as well. Like I said, there's a lot of action going on. Everyone was flying everywhere. Goldust had his moment. Cody had his moment, as well as Luke Harper and Eric Rowan had their moments. And then Ray's about to hit the 619 on one of the Wyatt family members, and basically gets caught from Bray Wyatt, and he hits the Sister Abigail really quickly. That was sick. I thought that was great. That match, I thought, was one of the most enjoyable 6-on-6 matches I've seen in quite some time. Moving on, we get a little segment backstage with The Shield and Renee Young, and there's a little thing that Roman Reigns started talking to Renee, to calling her baby girl, and it's a sign of, Roman Reigns turning babyface and will be the next big WWE superstar that they hope he will be. So we'll see what happens in his future. And this was Dean Ambrose basically saying that I will issue an open challenge for anyone for the U.S. title. And I've had a discussion with Clint before this Raw even started about Dean Ambrose not defending the championship, and they must have listened to us. The powers that be must have been beaming down their signals on our brains and basically giving us what we've been waiting for a very long time, and that was for Dean Ambrose to defend his United States Championship. And I'll get to that later on in this review, and there was something that I actually liked between the Wyatts and the Shield. Moving on, we get a very, very short match between Fandango and Santino Marella. It was one of the not so good things that I really didn't like. For one, like I said, it was a very, very short match. And two, in regards to Emma being the diva in the back, coming out with Santino, for the love of God, WWE, when you debut someone, put them in the match and not as a supporting role. That's something that they already, to me, already butchered someone's debut. And that's not the way you debut anyone when you put them on the show. You put them in the forefront. You put them in a match instead of putting them in either comedy segments or as a supporting role at ringside. You put them in a match. That's how you make a debut for someone, anyone, a guy or a woman or a diva, anyone. Now, with that said, we get The Miz coming out in the middle of that match, basically saying that I'm not on TV and I should be promoted on TV, and I'm complaining about it. So we'll see what happens with The Miz on Monday Night Raw as time goes on. Also, we get a match between the Real Americans versus Christian and Sheamus. Now, Christian and Sheamus being two guys in the Elimination Chamber match, and you want to make them look strong, and how appropriate, they win this match. Now, what was interesting was that we get, the tides are turning effect throughout that match. The fans started to cheer Antonio Cesaro, and they started to boo Sheamus. And to me, that was really interesting, and I'm curious to see where this is going to go with Antonio Cesaro and the Real Americans. Are they planning a split where Antonio Cesaro turns babyface and goes off on his own, and have Jack Swagger have him team with someone else to reinform the Real Americans? Something like that they could consider doing. And like I said, the tide is starting to turn. Right now, it looks like, Sheamus could be turning heel. There is talks about him facing Daniel Bryan, but you know what? Things could change at the very last minute. And Christian as well. Now, to me, putting Christian in the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view match, it feels like this is too good to be true. And I say that because what if someone attacks Christian before the chamber match and enters in the chamber match unannounced? It don't have to be Brock Lesnar. It could be anyone that's on the roster. And like I said, we'll see what happens. It's likely it could happen because they always put Christian in that harm's way match. We're going to have you come back. We're going to put you in a Money in the Bank ladder match. Now we're going to let you come back again. Now we're going to put you in another harm's way match, a chamber match that's upcoming next Sunday. So I'm curious to see how they're going to play out this whole Christian deal when it comes to this chamber match coming up in just a couple of weeks' time. Moving on, we get a train wreck of a match, and that's basically how I would describe it. Alberto Del Rio bet Dolph Ziggler in a one-on-one match. Now, the only little thing I did like was that Alberto Del Rio got his old music back. Now, all we need is Ricardo Rodriguez to complete the package, and he looks good. Yeah, he's back to his old ways. And the one thing that I did like coming out of this match is that Alberto Del Rio looks semi-interesting going forth with this whole Batista match. Now, I'm curious to see how they're going to build this match, because let's face it, when it comes to the style of Alberto Del Rio and Batista, there could be a boring factor going into this match because now this match is being booked. Batista versus Alberto Del Rio. What happened was that Dolph Ziggler basically got squashed. This was a complete burial of Ziggler, and I don't know for the like of me how Dolph Ziggler is going to respond to this. Is he going to throw another pipe bomb from the WWE app? He should get noticed for doing some speeches on the show. And there's also talks about him teaming up with The Miz, and that could lead to something interesting, I think, because when it comes to the whole CM Punk deal, and now with Dolph Ziggler and The Miz, I can definitely see those two pairing up. And what's happening with Dolph Ziggler is unexplainable and inexcusable. Something needs to be done with this guy. And I hope they take advantage of this situation that the WWE is putting Dolph Ziggler in and use it in a storyline to actually give him something to work on. That's what I hope for Dolph Ziggler at this point in his career. Now, like I said, when it comes to this Alberto Del Rio and Batista thing, what happened was that Alberto Del Rio attacked Ziggler again. Out comes Batista. He attacks Del Rio, spears him, and puts him through the announce table. Batista does this whole intense thing where he puts him through the table and leaves. And what I like is that he's not in his tight jeans or any of that Hollywood clothes crap he likes to put on. I love that he came out in his in-ring gear. I like the little things. To me, the little things matter, and coming out in his in-ring gear made me believe that he's after someone to get revenge. Now, when he did come out, if you noticed, he was limping a little bit. It was almost like, okay, what foot am I going to lead with, the left foot or the right foot? That's what it looked like when he came out. And I'm really worried about Batista and his in-ring work. Is he going to be very rusty? Because I noticed it when he spinebustered Alberto Del Rio when he came back. So I'm very, very worried about Batista competing in a match with 4 years of absence. So I hope that when he does have the match with Alberto Del Rio, he has some practice to build him up for this match. That's what I hope. Now, moving on, you have the Usos going against Ryback Curtis Axel, #1 contenders match for the tag team titles. And this was basically Usos going over Ryback Axel. And what I did like was the New Age Outlaws on commentary talking about how the Usos are not like their old man Rikishi and the Wild Samoans. They're not in their league. You know, it's the old guys, talking about the young guys and how they're not as good as their peers are. And they're, the ones that came before them. So I like that angle that they're playing on with these two teams. It makes storyline sense for that to play out, and I'm really interested to see when this match is going to take place. Maybe the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view event. You can have the New Age Outlaws somehow retaining the titles at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view event. And at WrestleMania, have the Usos have their big payoff and defeat the New Age Outlaws there. That, to me, would be a great build-up to their Tag Team Championship match in the future. Also on the show, we saw Dean Ambrose go one-on-one with Mark Henry for the United States Championship. This was the open challenge that Dean Ambrose made earlier at the show. And I was hoping, it would be someone like a Rob Van Dam, because when Mark Henry came out, to me, it just sucked the life out of me. And, we all knew that Mark Henry was going to return, but to have him come out as the guy to challenge Dean Ambrose, I already knew that Dean Ambrose was somehow going to sneak his way to victory, whether it was through a disqualification or a count-out. And, like I said, it was just one of those predictable things. Now, what I did enjoy about that segment was the standoff with the Shield and the Wyatt family. What happened was that the Wyatt family came out. You had the Shield at ringside already, and they just slowly started coming forth. You had the one end, the Shield, the other end, the Wyatts. They both come up on the apron. You see Roman Reigns come in the ring. You see Bray Wyatt about to come in the ring, but then not go in the ring and step down outside the ring. The timing of that was perfect. Great stare down. They did not even touch each other at all. And while I was watching this, here I'm thinking out loud, don't touch each other. Don't touch each other. And that's what's making me interested to see this 6-man tag team match. They're building this up perfectly. And it has that big fight feel. And like I said, they did not touch each other at all. That makes a great build-up between two teams that never fought before. And they're going to clash at the Chamber pay-per-view event. And to me, I'm sold. I'm excited about this match. To me, this is the most interesting match at the Chamber pay-per-view event, because that these two teams are both heel. And I'm curious to see how Roman Reigns is going to play out at the end of this match. And like I said before, I cannot see the Wyatt family lose this match. I'll even mention that in my prediction video, but we'll see that next week, so stay tuned for that. Also, we saw a 6-diva match. The Bella Twins, Cameron versus AJ Lee and Alicia Fox and Oksana. Now, 3 things were totally wrong about this match. One, while Brie Bella was in the ring wrestling, you heard Nikki Bella saying, come on Brie, over and over and over and over and over. It's so annoying. I just wanted to cover my ears throughout that entire match. On top of that, why was Eva Marie out there? That was just pointless to begin with. And another. Why in the world is AJ Lee losing every single time on Raw? They have her win in Divas matches for her title on pay-per-views, but they have her lose almost every single time on Raw. What is the point? No need. Absolutely no need for that nonsense. The match itself was complete, utter crap. Moving on. We get Kane coming out. And that's another logic fail, because the Authority at the beginning said that Kane is not here because he's on administrative leave. And out he comes. And I'm like, why is he here? The Authority told us that he's not here. Logic fail. And basically he came out, he talked about his actions, and I like how in the middle of that, Daniel Bryan came out and he took his revenge on Kane. The only little issue I had with Daniel Bryan was that he had time to actually point up doing the yes chants on the stage before he ran to get his revenge on Kane. To me, that little thing alone made me believe that Daniel Bryan did not want revenge. Moving on. Now, Betty White was the guest host on Monday Night Raw, and I thought this was just okay. To me, Betty White was just there on the show. We saw a couple of segments with her and the Divas, as well as that little skip it with the New Age Outlaws, with the tea and the spiking of the tea, putting the laxative in the tea, and switching the teas. I thought, little comedy bits like that, I thought were actually pretty good, and to me it didn't really ruin the entire show as well. Now, moving on, we get the next Hall of Famer of the WWE. Lo and behold, we get a woman, Lita. Lita is the next inductee in the Hall of Fame, someone who revolutionized the women's division in the WWE. A woman who takes risks in matches and continues in matches. And to me, Lita was the diva of the women's locker room in her time. And I cannot stress enough how great it is to see Lita going into the Hall of Fame this year. And that's the one big thing I like going into the road of WrestleMania, is the Hall of Fame itself. Now we have the Ultimate Warrior, Jake the Snake, and now Lita. The Hall of Fame this year, to me, looks like the greatest Hall of Fame I've seen in years. And it's shaping up very well, and I love to see Paul Bearer be the next one being inducted. Moving on to the main event, John Cena versus Randy Orton in a non-title match. And to me, I thought this was actually not half bad. Yes, it was a bore fest because we see Randy Orton versus John Cena numerous times. Well, what is this, the millionth time in a row that these two have faced each other? Of course. So the WWE has to give us this one last match between these two. And hopefully it is the last match between these two, because I'm just sick and tired of seeing these two wrestle. I'm just sick and tired of it. But what I actually did enjoy was that this match was actually better than their last two pay-per-view matches, such as at TLC. That match was just over-exaggerated. It was horrible. And to me, this match they had on Raw actually was better in comparison to that match, because it was very simple. It wasn't complex at all. What I did enjoy was that they didn't have to use their finishers 4, 5, 6 times. It was just once or twice before John Cena got the win over Randy Orton. That I actually did enjoy. And to me, like I said, this was, out of the last two matches they had, was a better match than them. And like I said, this was a great match. Even though we've seen it many, many times, and yes, this was a bore fest. I cannot stress enough how I want these two to splinter off and not touch each other anymore. Now, another issue I have with the match is that it is the same match every time. You know, you see Randy Orton beat up John Cena. John Cena comes back and wins, or Randy Orton wins. You get the idea. It's the same match. Those two put on every time, and you had the boring chants throughout that match. You had a different chants as well. You had a little bit of a CM Punk chants, not during this match, but something. I think it was the. I'm not sure which match it was, but I did hear CM Punk chants. I know I did. And like I said, this main event was actually decent enough to make me think, okay, they're balancing this out. John Cena beats Randy Orton. I see Randy Orton winning his next match on Raw. I like that he lost to Daniel Bryan. He won against Christian on SmackDown, so at least they're balancing out the 5 guys that are in the Chamber pay-per-view match, as well as the champion Randy Orton, how they keep Randy Orton losing matches and winning matches. And like I said, they're really balancing out the wins and losses when it comes to Randy Orton and the 5 other guys that are in this match. And overall, I thought this show was only an average show. It was very mediocre. It's not, I'm not going to go crazy about this Raw. I really did enjoy that stare down between the Wyatts and the Shield, as well as Lita being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And if you saw Monday Night Raw last night, what did you think about it? Comment below and let me know. While you're at it, you can hit that very subscribe button on the very bottom of this video. You can also follow MRB Wrestling Reviews on Twitter and like us on Facebook. And to a final message to all you viewers watching, get plenty of rest and always do your best.